Good morning. Steve and I are here representing Highline High School, or Highline Public Schools, excuse me. We are a richly diverse school district located just south of Seattle, and we serve roughly 20,000 pre-K through 12 students, each of whom we believe is brilliant, beautiful, and brimming with promise. Here in Highline, rather than a mission or vision, we've made a promise to our students, our families, our community, and that promise drives everything we do. The promise is that every student is known by name, strength, and need, and graduates prepared to choose their future. This promise drives everything we do. It's at the heart of our strategic plan, in which we commit to 5 bold goals. One of those being that at least 19 out of 20 of our students will graduate bilingual, biliterate, with the critical thinking and problem-solving skills needed to chart their own course after high school. Delivering on this promise, though, and meeting the goals in our strategic plan compels us to hire the highest quality staff, but also a staff who represents our very diverse community and student body. Role models matter, and our kids need more who look like them. We know nationally, we know from our students that we're not doing a good enough job of providing our students with a diverse array of educators in which they can see themselves, perhaps in whatever future path they choose. And Washington State is no exception to the national average.
Our challenge is to increase the racial and ethnic proportionality of our workforce. And you know the data. Nationally, we have more students of color than we have teachers. This plays out in Washington State, where we're from as well. And it really plays out in our school district, where we have about 17% of our teaching force identifying as diverse, but 75% of our student body. So we really need to embrace the challenge of increasing that level of proportionality. You know, we know that through the numbers, but we believe that our students say it best. And here's an example.
So our students are telling us what they need, and in Highline, we've been listening. So while overall in Washington State, roughly 11% of teachers are people of color, in Highline, we've made a significant commitment and investment to diversifying our teaching force. And since 2014, we've seen the diversity of our teaching force increase from 14% to 30%, which is roughly triple what the state average is. We think that's important, but it also hasn't happened by accident. It's happened by design. And we really, I think, sort of attribute 3 things to the success that we're seeing in this area. Number 1, dedicated resources. We've restructured and realigned resources to really focus on recruitment. Traditionally, recruitment is something that K-12 districts give lip service to, but rarely invest in strategically to get the kind of results we need, to get the highest quality, most diverse teaching force that we can. Number 2, we have a highly skilled, promise-driven team. And I say promise-driven, not mission-driven, because as I referenced earlier, our promise in Highline is real. And what we have found is that our promise and our bold strategic plan has become a fabulous recruitment tool. It's allowing us to say to people, here's what we stand for. If you believe in this, come join us. If you don't believe in this, don't bother. And our team has used that very effectively to hire some fabulous educators in recent years. And third, you need a board and district leadership that are willing to codify this work through board policy and a bold, equity-driven strategic plan. But all of these things have to be part of a larger talent development and workforce development strategy, which I believe, and Steve does too, requires a real transformation of human resources as we commonly know it in school districts.
You know, we were focused as a human resource department largely on managing transactions. And our work really was about strategically shifting that focus to workforce planning and development. And we did that by doing a few things. We had to streamline, automate, and in some cases just stop doing some things on the transactional side. We were processing leave letters in 14 steps. We reduced that to 4. We were issuing contracts, paper, and pen. We were able to automate that process. And there's a lot of stuff that we did in HR that we could just stop doing. As we constrained the Employee Services Division in a budget neutral way, we were able to expand into workforce planning, focus on local recruitment. We were able to change our interview policies and practices to involve more inclusive questions and rubrics. And excitingly, we were also able to really build out our Grow Your Own programs. An example of that was our Bilingual Fellows program, in which paraeducators who wanted to become teachers were able to obtain teaching credentials. And now with 16 of our paraeducators having gone through our first cohort, we have 10 of those hired as teachers to serve in our bilingual schools. That really helps us with our goal of 19 out of 20 students graduating bilingual and biliterate.
And so where do we go from here? There are 3 areas that we are still very much committed to focusing on and improving upon. One of those is recruitment. So we've talked a little bit about some of the formal things we've done around recruitment, but frankly, I think it's the informal that works sometimes too. So we have a teacher academy. Our Big Picture High School has student interns, 2 of which, heaven help them, have thought they might want to be superintendents, and they've interned with me. And I will tell you, I carry business cards with me all the time, and when I meet a young person who says, I'm interested in a career in education, I give them my card, and I say, you call me after you graduate and you have your certification. And guess what? Sometimes they do. So recruitment has to happen constantly. Number 2, induction. This is an area where we know we need to get better. We have to start retention from day 1, and that has to rest on a strong induction model, which we're working on developing. And finally, retention. We have a group of educators called Unifying for Diversity who have basically led the way in telling us as staff of color what they need in order to make Highline the best place it can be so that we can deliver on our promise, because we know we will not meet our graduation goals unless our students have more educators who look like them and can inspire and prepare them to choose their future. And at the end of the day, any innovation, no matter how magnificent, is only as good as the people who are delivering on it.